Healing Our World by Dr. Mary J. Ruwart, Revised Edition. Read by Adam Shahid. Acknowledgements. A book such as this one takes only years to write, but its preparation takes decades. Along the way, some very special people marked the milestones in that journey. This book would not be complete without acknowledging their contributions. My first introduction to political awareness came from Walt Disney's programs on our nation's founding. My parents, who brought me up in loving, in learning, and in awareness, nurtured my every research into the full meaning of the American Revolution. In college, Gary Fairfax introduced me to the enlightening writings of Ayn Rand. Years later, Cheryl Liu expanded my political consciousness further by exposing me, in great detail, to the application of libertarian principles and by encouraging me to run for local office. When Roger Gary suggested that I run for the 1984 presidential nomination of the Libertarian Party, I discovered yet another dimension of political life. The common perception that principles and practicality, ends and means, are disassociated. All of these pieces of the puzzle fell into place through interactions with R. Francis White, who unwittingly inspired me to put pen to paper. Without the experiences that these people brought into my life, this book might never have been written. Throughout the years of writing, my sister, Marty Ruwart, shared the vision from which this book was created. She encouraged me, inspired me, and expertly critiqued my drafts. Without her in my life, I'm not sure I would have persevered. My father shouldered more than his share of our rehabilitation business, giving me time to work on the manuscript. In addition to my sister and father, Cheryl, Roger, and Gary read over my drafts, giving me helpful suggestions. Other valuable comments came from Judith Bortnick, Dick Brown, Matt Calhoun, Lynette Dumble, Carol Heavey, Janet Howard, Andre Moreau, Pat Peterson, Bob Rush, Clark Smith, Michael Smith, Karen Ruwart Swindle, Jerry Van Natta, Connie Vinci, Luann Wilbanks, and Jared Wolstein. Their input helped me to address each issue thoroughly. I am also grateful for the excellent assistance of my editor, Barbara Hart, and her staff at Publications Professionals. Brian Betzold, my cartoonist, David Howard, who designed the cover, and Ed and Judy Petzold of PCC Resources for preparing the computer-drawn figures and the text formatting. They all provided me with talent beyond my own. Many other people gave me support, encouragement, and suggestions when they learned about this book. To them, I also extend my heartfelt thanks. Let me remind everyone who participated in this undertaking, in however small a way, of the importance of each contribution. No one writes a book like this one alone, but then, we are never really alone. Foreword. Healing Our World is a rare book that challenges numerous aspects of conventional wisdom that we accept as axiomatically true. For example, a major dimension of this book is its linkage between our spiritual perspective and our economic well-being. At first, these two might seem like strange bedfellows, but Dr. Ruwart leads readers with her gentle touch to a world in which the interdependence of the hard sciences, social sciences, and spirituality become clear. Hard facts presented in a sensitive, readable style focus attention on the urgent need for our policymakers to be more careful about the evidence upon which many of their policies are based. Healing Our World gently and provocatively challenges its readers to recognize the coercive nature of the government intervention which we often consider as inevitable and even desirable. Seldom do we question the morality of government-initiated aggression in prescribing day-to-day regulations and taxes. Dr. Ruwart's book is a refreshing and unusual approach that refocuses public attention on the danger of sanctioning collective action that would be repugnant to us if practiced individually. Herein, Dr. Ruwart claims, is the key to the easy way out, to a win-win world of abundance and harmony. Healing Our World paints a clear and compelling picture of a vision within our grasp, thereby empowering and inspiring every person working for a better world. Francis Kindle and Leon Lowe, Nobel Prize nominees, 1989, 1991, 1992. The history of the world is none other than the progress of the consciousness of freedom. George Hegel, 1821. In the following pages I offer nothing more than simple facts, plain arguments, and common sense, and have no other preliminaries to settle with the reader, other than that he will divest himself of prejudice and prepossession, and suffer his reason and his feelings to determine for themselves that he will put on, or rather that he will not put off, the true character of a man, and generously enlarge his views beyond the present day. Thomas Paine. Introduction. The Impossible Dream? War and poverty are caused, not by selfish others, but by our own reactions to them. If we wish to change the world, we must first change ourselves. Humankind is poised on the brink of an evolutionary leap. In the last few decades, we have become increasingly aware of the source of our inner peace and enrichment. Depending on our personal background, we express this great discovery differently. The practical, down-to-earth individuals among us take responsibility for our lives, as described in Wayne W. Dyer's Your Erroneous Zones. Those of us with a metaphysical outlook create our own reality, as Shirley MacLaine did in Out on a Limb. The spiritual among us know that the kingdom of God is within, and follow the road less traveled. M. Scott Peck. Sometimes we simply find ourselves through the power of love, as Richard Bach did in The Bridge Across Forever. Ultimately, our inner harmony and abundance depend on how we react to our outer world. The creation of peace and plenty in our outer world, however, frequently seems hopelessly beyond our control. In the past century, we've supported widespread social reform. Nevertheless, people are still starving in a world capable of feeding all. In our own country, homelessness and poverty are on the rise. Violence is no longer limited to overseas wars. Our streets, even our schools, are no longer safe. The environment that nurtures us is ravaged and raped. When we acknowledge how our reactions contribute to our inner state, we gain control. Our helplessness dissolves when we stop blaming others for feelings we create. In our outer world, the same rules apply. Today, as a society, as a nation, as a collective consciousness, we once again feel helpless, blaming selfish others for the world's woes. Our nation's laws, reflecting a composite of our individual beliefs, attempt to control selfish others, at gunpoint if necessary. Striving for a better world by focusing on the others instead of ourselves totally misses the mark. When others resist the choices we have made for them, conflicts escalate and voraciously consume resources. A warring world is a poor one. Attempting to control others, even for their own good, has other undesirable effects. People who are able to create intimacy in their personal relationships know that you can't hurry love. Trying to control or manipulate those close to us creates resentment and anger. Attempting to control others in our city, state, nation, and world is just as destructive to the universal love we want the world to manifest. Forcing people to be more unselfish creates animosity instead of goodwill. Trying to control selfish others is a cure worse than the disease. We reap as we sow. In trying to control others, we find ourselves controlled. We point fingers at the dictators, the communists, the politicians, and the international cartels. We are blithely aware that our desire to control selfish others creates and sustains them. Like a stone thrown in a quiet pond, the desire to control our neighbors ripples outward, affecting the political course of our community, state, nation, and world. Yet we know not what we do. We attempt to bend our neighbors to our will, sincere in our belief that we are benevolently protecting the world from their folly and short-sightedness. We seek to control peace and prosperity, not realizing that this is the very means by which war and poverty are propagated. In fighting for our dream without awareness, we become the instruments of its destruction. If we could only see the pattern! In seeking to control others, we behave as we once did as children, exchanging our dime for 5 pennies, all the while believing that we were enriching ourselves. When a concerned adult tries to enlighten us, we first refuse to believe the truth. Once awareness dawned, we could no longer be fooled, nor was the laborious deliberation necessary for every transaction. Once we understood how to count money, we automatically knew if we benefited from such a trade. Similarly, when the fact and folly of controlling others first come to our attention, we're surprised and full of denial. I certainly was. When we care about the state of our world, however, we don't stop there. I trust you are concerned enough to persevere and to consider seriously the shift in consciousness this book proposes. Once we have the courage to accept responsibility for our part of the problem, we automatically become part of the solution, independent of what others do. We honor their non-aggressive choices, even if they are selfish, and stop trying to control them. In doing so, we dismantle their most effective means of controlling us. Others only ignite the flames of war and poverty. We feed the flames or starve them, not understanding their nature. We fan the sparks instead of smothering them, not understanding our contribution to the raging inferno. We despair that a world full of selfish others could ever experience universal harmony and abundance. Nothing could be further from the truth. Widespread peace and plenty can be created within our lifetime. When we understand how to stop fueling the flames of war and poverty, we can manifest our dream.